It was a camera facing that direction that should have gotten this part of the slide where he was found on camera that was 25 feet away. But they're saying that camera did not catch it.
Hey family, and welcome back to another episode on our true crime series. In today's episode, we will be talking about Donte Perez Jones, who was found hung June 17th in a park in Pennsylvania.
It's a lot of weird stuff going on with this case. It's a lot of missing information. His family is crying out for answers, and they basically being given the runaround. It's a lot of things being hid into this case, and we're gonna try to go through it. We're gonna try to break it down. They ruled this a suicide, and a lot of people does not believe that this was a suicide.
I definitely don't.
They don't. I mean, it's plenty information out there, and the facts are out there. We got them from the family that Mr. Perez had no reason to want to kill himself, and we just going to try to go through the timeline and just try to get to the bottom of it. Now, we know that Mr. Perez, he was a military vet. He served in the military for 6 years. Yeah. He was also a member of the National Guard. He had children. He was a big man. It was said that he was around 6'4", 200 and some pounds. So his mom believed he was held against his will because he's big enough to defend himself. Right. So they definitely think someone steered him to this community. It's a lot of weird stuff that's going on with this. So he was found hanging in a park on a playground on June 17th. At 7 a.m. in the morning. He was found by a person passing by the park. They called the police and said they see a man that looked like he was leaning up against the park, but he didn't look like he was there, like he was alive. Right. So they called the police. They said it took the police around 45 minutes to get there.
Which I don't understand when there's a police station literally 25 feet away from the park? Yeah,
they said this park is located directly behind a police station in this community. Mm-hmm. So we don't know why it took them so long to get there, but it took them a while to get there. Now, we do know that he was found at 7 a.m. in the morning, and they pretty much ruled it a suicide right away.
Immediately.
Yeah, like they processed the scene. We don't even know if they processed the scene. Basically, They processed it so fast to where it left so many questions. Right. It's described as if they destroyed the crime scene. Right. Because they found him at 7 a.m. in the morning. 2 hours later, they opened that same park up where they just found a human being hung. They opened that park up 2 hours later for a public event. That's not how things should go. That's not right. And his mom doesn't like how her son was treated. She don't like how this situation is being handled. Now, we do know that they wouldn't let his mom identify the body on the 17th, and we all know you can watch TV shows, you can watch First 48, you can watch any kind of show, and if you personally lost loved ones, you know that pretty much someone needs to identify a body on the scene. Most people are identified at the tragedy on scene. Now, the only reason I would think that he wouldn't be identified or she wouldn't be identified at a tragedy scene is because maybe the guardians couldn't be reached at the time. So, but she wasn't able to see her son and identify him for 3 days. He was found on the 17th. She wasn't able to identify the body until the 20th. And the family is crying out about that. They wouldn't show her no pictures. Nope. They just wouldn't let her see her son. So at this point, she was basically crying out, basically saying she don't even know if it was her son at this point.
Much more details that point to that this was a murder.
And a cover-up.
You just saw a black male hanging from here, and then you take him down, and then say, oh, that was suicide. Doesn't make sense. And then you have an event here at 10 o'clock. Is that what we do?
The very same night.
The same day, that morning. You didn't give enough respect to my son to not have the event.
And they saying where was he found?
They was found right here.
Like this. But his feet was touched the ground. He was hung, but his feet was on the ground.
My son's wallet is missing. His ID, his keys, but no wallet. His wallet is missing. The lady said she wasn't going to do an autopsy. It was ruled suicide. It's closed. I said, I'm requesting that you do an autopsy in case someone gave him some narcotics or knocked him out. He is a big guy. He served in the military 6 years, National Guard, like he defended the United States. Went to war, like you're not going to tell me that he don't know how to defend himself. So someone had to do something for that to happen. They have not let me identify him. They told me I wasn't going to identify him because they don't do that. You show me a picture of my son? Because at this point, do I even know it's my son?
They didn't take any pictures of him?
I asked for the pictures. They won't let me see any pictures.
They said they took pictures. They said they took pictures, but they don't have them to give to her. She can't view the pictures that they took of him and the condition that they actually found him in.
And who knows what they could have done in the last 48 hours.
Exactly.
Well, it's obvious they already covered up stuff because they've already moved the position of the cameras from yesterday.
And got rid of evidence and everything.
Exactly. So when we came out here yesterday, the first thing I did was look at all the cameras that was close to the vicinity of where this took place. And when I walked, the first thing I did, I came over here, I took pictures and videos of all 3 cameras that's on this building behind us. Because in this middle camera faced directly to the scene of the crime. The other camera faced over that way. When we came back today, this middle camera is now faced in another position. And this camera, the end camera, is now facing this way. But then yesterday they told us they had no access to that camera. That camera is a live feed, so we don't know if we can even get footage off that camera for you guys. But this is a park where all children play. You mean to tell me you don't have footage? You're not covering children in a park? The most dangerous place, even though you don't know what happened. Predators come to the kids. Predator comes out here around kids. And you telling me these cameras is not active? Watching kids?
Actually, that's the purpose of the camera.
That's the purpose of cameras. To be able to go back and watch people and see what happened.
They told me that nobody was watching the camera. My son did not drink. My son did not do drugs. And no, he was never locked up. No, that's not the scenario either. This is an educated man that went to Shippensburg for undergrad and grad. He's educated, he's smart. He went into the military. He wanted to go in the military first. I said, no, you need to go to school and get an education. Because that's one thing they can't take from you. I didn't know to tell him that they could take his life. I just never thought I'd be sitting here saying, like, I don't understand. How do you not have answers for me? And how do you be so insensitive to me? And this is the country that he fought for? We love this country, and they should respect us just like we respect the United States of America, but you're not respecting him by just taking him down and then open a park to have an event?
This is a modern day lynching, and for another black person to be swept under the rug. This is not another casualty of war. This is.
So they basically end up letting her see and confirm that it was Mr. Donte Perez, which is her son. It's a lot of people think that it's a lot of suspicious to that.
Foul play, definitely.
Because they're saying, basically, they're saying that 3 days and then you finally let me identify my son. They basically feel like his body had been tampered with at that point. They pretty much ruled it a suicide right off the bat. They told his mom that it was a suicide.
They wasn't going to do an autopsy.
It wasn't going to do an autopsy, and that the case was pretty much closed. Basically. And she wanted an autopsy. She requested an autopsy because her son had no reason to kill himself.
Right.
He was a military vet. He was a member of the National Guard. He had just graduated school, getting his CDL, so he had a job waiting on him that they said was going to give him a pretty good pay raise. He had children, and he had just left his mom's house at 11:40 that night in great spirits. So she wanted an autopsy because she said she wanted to make sure that he wasn't drugged or he had anything in his system, because he didn't do drugs, he didn't drink, and Mr. Perez does not even have a criminal record. So
he hadn't been in jail. He was an educated man. He served in the military. He served, everyone. So, I mean, it's just crazy to think about how he was basically discarded after, serving our country. And his mom can't even get answers. Like she said, he's a big guy. He's a big man. And even after serving in the military, she don't see him not being able to defend himself if anything was to go on like that. So she wanted the autopsy done basically to make sure he didn't have any drugs or anything in his system, make sure he wasn't drugged. So, I mean, it's crazy. Lynching is very much so still happening.
Still going on.
You know, they try to sweep it up under the rug. Cases like this are not being talked about. It's not being put in the, you know, forefront. I just so happened to run across an article, and I screenshot it, and I'm like, you know, let me dig more into this. It's very much so, you know, new, and I feel like it should definitely be getting more coverage than what it's getting. They have started a GoFundMe, which we will link all the information down below. But yeah, this is so crazy, and stuff like this makes me so angry. You know, I'm married to a black man. I have a son, you know, even a daughter, you know, growing up in a world like this where we are hated by, you know, so many people for absolutely no reason. You know what I mean? Like, it is so crazy to me to think that, you know, my son could one day leave the house and not return due to stupid crap, you know, like this. So, yeah, I'm highly upset reading about this case and doing my research on this case. I definitely feel like more light should be shed on his case, and his mom and his family deserve answers. He was a father of 3 beautiful children. He was an educated man. He served this country. Like, what more could you ask for? You know, his family definitely deserves justice.
Yeah, because it's a lot of missing information in this case.
Definitely.
His mom said his wallet is still missing.
Yes.
I believe they have his keys because they told her that someone needs to come get his car right away.
The same day.
Yeah, right away.
That same day, yeah.
But they said she couldn't identify the body, so that is suspicious.
Right.
The park he was found dead in, he doesn't have no ties to that community. He shouldn't have been over in that area. That place is roughly an hour away from where he lives. He had just left his mom's house at 11:40 that night. He was found dead at 7 a.m.
Like 7:43.
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Between 7 and 8 he was found dead.
But his mom described it as that. Well, they basically described him as he had no reason to commit suicide. They basically said you can pick out the nicest guy in your family, the one who has everything going on for himself, your brother, your uncle. I mean, someone who has a good job, someone who has children, someone who has a bright future, and you can be basically seeing him, and 6 hours later they're saying he drove out to a park and hung himself.
Right.
That's how he's been described. So he had no reason to be in that area. He had everything going for himself. He had no reason to want to take his own life.
Another crazy thing that came up when I was doing research or whatever is his feet were basically still on the ground.
Yeah.
It's not like he was elevated or anything to hang himself. His feet were still flat on the ground.
Like he was placed there. Because you can't hang yourself still standing on your feet.
Right.
So they're thinking he was placed there dead. And they're also thinking that he didn't drive himself to that park. They thinking that it was maybe guns drawn on him, or maybe he was drove to that park by someone else. Now, this park allegedly has over 100 cameras, and nothing was caught on tape.
Right.
They also said that it was a camera facing that direction that should have gotten this part of the slide where he was found on camera that was 25 feet away. But they're saying that camera did not catch anything. How does a park have 100 cameras and it don't catch nothing?
Absolutely nothing.
And they do know that cameras in that park has been tampered with. Like his mother and the people of his family who was on the video that I'll place in here, they basically said they went out to the park the day that they found him. And they have pictures of these cameras facing the direction they should have been facing to catch this on camera. And days later, they go out there and those exact cameras has been moved.
Yep.
Like it's a lot of
missing information.
It's a lot of missing information in this case. I mean, things like this is still happening. People doesn't think so, and people are looking over things like this.
Definitely.
more light should be shed on situations like this. Mr. Donte Perez deserves justice. He served his country. His family shouldn't have to go through this. His mama is crying out for answers. They have a GoFundMe trying to raise funds to get a lawyer and have their own private autopsy done. I was watching a podcast earlier where they said they actually had a professional who does autopsies on the show, and they asked them that, is there anything someone who performs autopsies can do to a body to make future autopsies cover things up, basically. And the professional said there's absolutely things that an autopsy professional can do to a body that will cover up other things and make other things not show. That when a loved one gets their loved one a future autopsy, basically trying to confirm something or find something that they're not being told by the authorities, there are things that whoever performed the first autopsy, they can do to a body to hide things. And that's basically what they thinking is going on with her not being able to identify her son for 3 days, for them to say, no, we're not doing an autopsy, and she go crying out loud, and then later she received a phone call saying, I'm sorry you've been treated like this. We are now going to do a full investigation and do an autopsy. And it is people in the community that feel like they are only doing an autopsy at this point after they clearly said that they wasn't, and that they ruled it suicide right off the bat, that they're only doing an autopsy now because they have already covered up the things that they needed to cover up. And it is facts that you can do things to a body to make things not show up on future autopsies. These are things that can be done, and I don't know what happened, but his family deserves to know what happened.
Most definitely. And I want to read y'all. They do have a GoFundMe, like I said before, that we will link down below. And I'm going to read y'all a little piece from the GoFundMe. They actually went into detail on here. So if you click on it, you'll be able to read this information as well. But it says Donte was last seen at his mother's house around 11:40 p.m., where he was in good health and good spirits. He was found dead in the Wentz Run Park behind White Plains Township Police Department. He was hung around 7:43, and his death was automatically ruled a closed case of suicide. He was found without his wallet, and it is still missing. The police removed the body and opened the park for a planned event at 10 a.m. His death on 6/17/2022 shocked the family and friends, considering his upbeat personality. Donte's mother went to the White Plains Police Department on June 17th and was told by the detectives that the case was ruled a suicide and therefore closed. Donte's parents were denied their rights to view and properly identify his body for over 48 hours. The coroner's office said that they will not be doing an autopsy or a toxicology report since it was ruled a suicide, even after his mom requested one. The detectives who notified Donte's mother of his death told her that someone needed to come pick up his car and keys from the park the same day. The police kept his cell phone after confirming the closed case. However, his car was not held. According to White Plains Township Police, there are over 100 cameras in the Wentz Park. There is a camera approximately 25 yards pointing in the same direction the body was found. Donte lived in Delaware County, which is about an hour from Bluebell, Pennsylvania, where his body was found. Donte had no known ties to Bluebell, Pennsylvania. And then it also said on Saturday morning, 6/18, after making calls to state representatives, government officials, NAACP reps, and others, White Plains chief of police called Donte's mother to apologize for handling of the case, to advise that they will be doing a full investigation and an autopsy. The autopsy reports are pending and expected to be released within a few weeks. You guys, this is heavy, because this is steadily going on every day, and it's not getting the coverage that it deserves. I really hope that his mom get answers. We will definitely be following this case, and we will update you guys when we find any more information. On this channel, as you guys know, we cover so many different true crimes, whether we see it in today's time going on, happening now, or we watch it on a TV show. We like to bring it to you guys. If you guys have any cases that you want us to cover, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section, and we will definitely get it up for you guys. We thank you so much for watching our videos and for rocking with us for this long. We love you guys, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.